I always thought monsters under the bed were for kids. Boogeymen. Fairy tales. That irrational fear you grow out of by age 7, maybe 8. I remember even laughing at my little cousin once when she refused to sleep without a nightlight, claiming something whispered her name when the lights went out. Now I'm 32. And last night, the voice under my bed whispered my name too. Let me back up. I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment just outside Portland. It's nothing fancy, thin walls, ugly carpet, kitchen tiles that refuse to stay white no matter how hard I scrub, but it's mine. I work from home doing freelance graphic design, which means I'm often up late, red-eyed and caffeinated, while the world outside goes quiet. Last week, I started noticing odd things. Not big things. Just little moments that made my stomach sink. The kind you dismiss because the alternative is too weird to accept. The first time was on Tuesday. I had just shut down my laptop and climbed into bed around 2 a.m. I remember pulling the covers up to my chest and hearing a soft thump beneath me, like something shifting under the mattress. A moment later, a second sound, like breath catching in a dry throat. Too close. Too real. I froze. I told myself it was just the apartment creaking. Old building. Thin walls. Maybe the guy downstairs rolled over in bed or dropped something. But I didn't sleep that night. I kept the lights on and stayed perfectly still, pretending not to notice the cold, stale air that seemed to rise from beneath my bed frame. I didn't even dare hang a limb off the edge, like I was suddenly 6 years old again. On Wednesday, I convinced myself it was a one-off. Sleep deprivation. Stress. But then something else happened. I woke up around 4 a.m. to the sound of soft humming. A low, tuneless murmur, like someone trying to remember a lullaby from decades ago. It was so faint I thought maybe it was just in my head. Until it stopped the moment I sat up, like someone hit a switch. Again, the sound had come from beneath me. I got up, flipped on every light, and dropped to my knees to look under the bed. Nothing. No sign of mice, no weird shadows, no prankster roommate. I don't even have roommates. Just a dusty floor and a pair of old shoes I forgot I owned. Still, something about it lingered. It wasn't the sound, it was the way it seemed to react to me. As if whatever was down there knew when I was awake. By Thursday, I was leaving the bedroom light on all night and sleeping on the couch. That worked. For a while. Until last night. It was almost 3 a.m. I was still awake, lying on the couch, watching a YouTube video to distract myself. I must have dozed off, because the next thing I remember is jerking awake, heart racing, air freezing, skin crawling. And then I heard it. From the bedroom. A voice. A man's voice, low and deliberate, whispering. You left your journal open, Sam. My blood went cold. No one calls me Sam except for people who know me. And I hadn't told anyone about the voice. I sat there on the couch, paralyzed, listening. The voice continued. I read what you wrote. About the lake. About her. Want me to tell you what she said before she died? I nearly vomited. There's no way anyone could know that. I never told anyone what happened that summer. The journal was buried deep in my desk drawer. I hadn't written in it for years. And yet, whoever, whatever, was under my bed, it knew. I wanted to move. To run. To scream. But instead, I did what I always do. I froze. I listened. The voice fell silent after that. But the damage was done. Now I'm sitting in a coffee shop at 9 a.m., writing this on my laptop with shaking hands, surrounded by normal people living normal lives. They sip espresso and scroll on their phones. They have no idea that something beneath the floor of my apartment knows what I've buried deep in my past. I have to go back tonight. But this time, I'm not sleeping. I'm going to record it. Whatever's under my bed, it wants to talk. I didn't go home right away. Instead, I spent the entire day roaming around the city, bookstores, train stations, anywhere public. I kept thinking that if I just stayed in motion, maybe the dread would lift. But it followed me like a second skin. By the time I got back to the apartment, the sky was already dark. I stood outside my door for a good 10 minutes, keys in hand, heart thudding in my chest. The hallway felt colder than usual, like the building itself was holding its breath. My neighbor's door across the hall was slightly open, but I didn't see anyone inside. I finally forced myself in. Everything looked normal, which somehow made it worse. I walked slowly to the bedroom, half expecting the lights to flicker or a shadow to dart across the wall. Nothing happened. The room was untouched. Empty. I left the light on and opened my laptop. I didn't want to speak. I didn't want to acknowledge it. I just set the laptop on the nightstand and started recording full screen, audio on, no distractions. Then I lay down on the bed and waited. Nothing happened for the first 20 minutes. Just me breathing, stiff and paranoid. I stared at the ceiling, trying not to blink, trying not to think. And then the voice returned. This time, it started with a whisper of static, like someone turning the dial on an old radio. You told no one about the girl at the lake. I jolted upright. I knew that voice. It wasn't just random anymore. It sounded familiar. Not exactly like someone I knew, but close. Like it was imitating someone from my past. You left her there, didn't you? You watched her go under. My blood ran cold. I'd never said those words out loud. Not to anyone. Not even in therapy. I was just a teenager back then. We were camping. She went swimming and didn't come back. Everyone called it a tragic accident. But I saw her face when she went under. I saw the way her hand reached out, not to save herself, but to pull me in. And I ran. I never even looked back. You told yourself you couldn't save her. But that's not true, is it? My skin prickled with icy sweat. I didn't answer. I just sat there, frozen, tears blurring my vision. Then came the sound. A slow, steady scraping, like fingernails against metal. From beneath the bed. I couldn't move. The voice was closer now, like it had shifted upward, pressing against the mattress from underneath. I know what else you've done, Sam. Want me to keep going? I slammed the laptop shut and bolted out of the room. I spent the night in my car, parked 2 blocks away with the engine running and the doors locked. In the morning, I played back the recording. It started with silence, then the static, then the whisper. Clear as day. You told no one about the girl at the lake. It was there. I hadn't imagined it. But the really disturbing part? My voice. Near the end of the clip, you can hear me speaking, saying things I don't remember saying. I tried. I really did. She was already gone. Stop blaming me. Except I didn't say any of that. I swear. My mouth was shut the whole time. I've watched the clip 20 times now, frame by frame. The voice mimicked mine perfectly. Or maybe it was pulling those words from inside me, from somewhere even I didn't know existed. Next time, I'm not just going to record it. I'm going to talk back. I waited until nightfall before going back inside. All day, I kept thinking, what if it wants something? What if it isn't just haunting me? What if it's trying to communicate? Not out of kindness, but for a reason. I'd already broken one rule. I recorded it. I replayed the voice, analyzed every second of that hellish whisper. Now, if I really wanted to understand it, I had to break another. I had to answer. I took precautions first. I bought salt. I don't even know why. I just remembered something from an old forum thread years ago. Someone talking about spiritual barriers. It sounded ridiculous, but I didn't care. I lined the base of the bed with a thick perimeter. Made a circle around myself, too. As if that would protect me from something that lived in my past. And then, I waited. The lights off. The room cold. At 3:17 a.m., the whisper came again. She's still there, you know. I swallowed hard. What do you want from me? Silence. Then a laugh, not loud, but full of wet, broken mirth. Like vocal cords rotting in real time. I want you to remember. Something shifted under the bed. The frame creaked. A sharp knock echoed from the wooden slats beneath me. I want you to remember what you did to your brother. I stopped breathing. No, I whispered. That's not. He was drunk. He ran into traffic. Because you told him to. That's not true. You dared him. You laughed. Bet you won't run across before the light changes. Remember that. My hands were shaking. No, I didn't mean it like that. We were kids. He was 11. I curled up in the salt circle like it was armor. My brother's name was Jacob. He died when I was 13. I hadn't thought about that night in years. Not deeply. Not honestly. But now, the voice was dragging it all back, piece by piece, like maggots pulling meat from old bone. You ran home and told your parents he chased a ball, that he didn't look. They cried and believed you. But I know. Tears ran down my cheeks. I wasn't even trying to stop them anymore. What are you? I croaked. I am the floor you never touched again. I am the name you stopped saying. I am the breath between your lies. The salt started to smoke. I swear to God I saw it. A black smudge forming under the bed, like a silhouette burned into the air itself. It wasn't rising up, though. It was just watching. It didn't need to stand. It didn't need a body. It was already inside me. I stood up, breaking the circle. Tell me what you want. Say it. The air changed, grew thick, metallic, charged. Then the voice dropped its volume to a level so low, I felt it more than heard it. You have more secrets, Sam. So many more. If I tell them to the world, will they still love you? My chest heaved. And then it gave me something new. A name. Marcy Dunlow. I froze. That name. I hadn't heard it in over a decade. She was my college girlfriend. Sweet, smart, endlessly patient. We dated for 2 years. Then one night, she disappeared. Police said she probably ran. Her mom thought it was suicide. I said I didn't know anything. But I did. I knew exactly what happened. She came to my apartment that night, screaming and crying, begging me to tell the truth about something I'd done. I slammed the door, told her to go. She ran off into the dark. She was never seen again, and I pretended it never happened. She's under the lake now too, the voice said. That was the moment I screamed. The lights exploded. The salt lit up in a brief ring of white flame. The walls trembled, like something massive was slamming its fist into the pipes below. And through all of it, the roar, the panic, one sound remained clear. You let them all drown, Sam. And now, it's your turn. I passed out sometime after that. When I woke, the sun was rising, the room was still, and the floor beneath the bed was cold again. But I'm not the same. Because now I know, this thing doesn't just live under my bed. It lives in what I've done. I didn't go to work. Didn't shower. Didn't eat. I just sat in my apartment all day with every light on, staring at my bed like it might blink. The salt circle was now a faint gray outline. The floor beneath was scorched slightly, like something had pressed its heat against the boards and left behind a shadow. I was losing it. And the worst part? I wasn't sure I deserved to get it back. The voice knew too much. Not just memories, but details. It knew names I had buried, words I had whispered in guilt, faces I had forced myself to forget. It wasn't haunting me randomly. It was pulling me apart with surgical precision. By evening, I made a decision. If it wanted me to face what I buried, then I would. I started with the bed. I dragged the entire frame away from the wall, stripped the mattress off, threw the box spring into the hallway. The floor underneath was bare and cracked. Dust swirled in the air. But something caught my eye near the corner. A seam in the wood. Barely visible, like a long, splintered scar. I got down on my knees and ran my fingers across it. It was soft. Worn. Almost. Used. There was a trapdoor. No hinges. No knob. Just an uneven cut in the floor I'd never noticed before, probably sealed over during some sloppy repair years ago. My heart was pounding. I grabbed a screwdriver and pried. The wood cracked and snapped like old bones, and with a final wrench, the panel gave way. Beneath it was a crawl space. Pitch black. Dry. Smelling faintly of mildew and something older, like dusted hair and damp copper. I shined my phone light down into it. There was something carved into the wood. Dozens of little marks. Symbols. Some looked like tally marks. Others like spirals. There were also scraps of paper, yellowed, brittle, with names written in frantic handwriting. Jacob Dabney. Marcy Dunlow. Elizabeth Shore. Me. My name was on one of them, scribbled over and over until the pen tore the paper. I gagged. Something moved in the darkness. At first, I thought it was just my shadow, but then it shifted toward me, a slithering presence just out of sight. And then the voice returned. But not from under the bed this time. From behind me. Found it, didn't you? I spun around. Nothing. The door was open. The hallway was empty. But the voice stayed close. Closer than ever. You think this is just about guilt? No, Sam. This is about weight. About what you leave behind when you bury the truth. Suddenly, I understood. This wasn't a ghost. It wasn't a demon either. It was everything I refused to carry. Every lie, every secret, every time I told myself they wouldn't believe me, or it's not my fault. It had become real. And now it had a place to live. The crawl space wasn't always there. I created it. I should have run. But I didn't. Instead, I climbed down into the darkness. The walls closed in immediately, tight, too tight. My shoulders scraped both sides. Dust filled my nose. Every breath echoed like I was inhaling silence. I inched forward, and then I saw it. A figure. Kneeling. Facing away. Thin, bone-white skin stretched over a sunken frame. Its arms were wrapped around its knees. Its head twitched as I approached. I knew who it was before I even saw the face. Marcy. Her hair matted and long. Her clothes still damp, as if pulled from the lake that night. But she wasn't whole. She looked sculpted from something wrong, a memory trying too hard to be flesh. Then she turned. Her eyes were hollow. You watch me die. I cried. I didn't know what to do. I whispered. I thought you'd call someone. I thought you were bluffing. So you shut the door. She reached out, but I backed away, trembling. From deeper in the crawl space came another figure. And another. My brother. My father. Even a teacher I once bullied so badly he quit mid-year. They came crawling from the dark, their faces barely human, their skin etched with the marks I saw on the wood. All the people I'd hurt. Or ignored. Or abandoned. They didn't scream. They didn't chase me. They just watched. Judging. As if to say, you've always known we were down here. I scrambled out. Slammed the panel shut. And when I stood again, gasping in the bedroom light, the voice whispered something new. You're almost ready. That was last night. Now I sit at my desk, staring at the journal I haven't touched in years. It's open to a blank page. There's only one thing left to do. I have to write it all down. Everything. Because if I don't, I think the crawl space will come up through me. I didn't sleep. Instead, I wrote. All night, I poured everything into the journal, not just the big things. Not just the drownings and the names I buried. Everything. Every petty cruelty. Every secret betrayal. Every time I let someone fall, and just kept walking. I thought maybe writing it all down would be enough, that the voice would fade, that the crawl space would seal itself again. It didn't. If anything, the house grew hungrier. At 3:12 a.m., I heard it again. The scrape of something long and thin dragging itself across the floor under my bed. Not toward me this time. Away. Into the walls. Into the air vents. Into the foundation. The thing was spreading. It didn't just live under my bed now, it lived inside the building. And somehow, I knew I wasn't its only confession. I remembered the neighbor across the hall. The cracked door. The way she never made eye contact. And suddenly, a terrifying thought hit me. What if we all have crawl spaces? What if this wasn't about me at all? What if I was just the first to finally listen? I tried to warn her. I knocked on her door, frantic, clutching my journal. She answered with tired eyes and a trembling hand. There's something under the building, I said. It knows what we've done. It wants us to remember. She didn't say a word. She just stepped aside. Her apartment was worse than mine. The walls were covered in sticky notes. Names, dates, places. Scribbled curses and apologies. On her floor, the boards were already split open. A second crawl space. She nodded like she already knew. I hear my son in there, she whispered. He died 3 years ago. We didn't speak after that. We didn't need to. I don't know how many others have heard the voice, but I can feel them now. The residents. Each one of us walking around with our sins pressed tight to our chests, pretending we're clean. And beneath us? The house remembers. It doesn't forget like people do. It feeds. Last night, I packed a bag and tried to leave. I made it as far as the front door before I heard my mother's voice. From behind me. Don't forget the box in the closet. I froze. She's been dead for 5 years. I turned slowly. No one there. But the closet door was open now, just slightly. Inside was the old wooden box I hadn't touched since I moved in. It held things from my childhood. Toys, medals, photos. And a drawing. A crayon sketch of a stick figure, lying in bed, with something black scribbled underneath. The caption in my childish handwriting read, "The man who tells the truth." My breath caught. I remembered drawing that. I remembered waking up crying because of the voice, the same one that whispers now. It's been with me since I was a kid. It never left. It just waited for me to grow old enough to understand what it was saying. I didn't leave the apartment. I couldn't. You see, I understand now. This thing, this voice, it doesn't haunt bad people. Not really. It haunts the ones who pretend they're not. People who wear masks so long they forget they're wearing them. People like me. It doesn't punish. It reveals. And if you run from it, it follows. But if you face it, it becomes you. That's where I am now. I don't leave the apartment anymore. I don't sleep. I don't eat. I just listen. At night, the walls breathe. The floorboards twitch. Sometimes, I hear my own voice echoing back at me, but saying things I haven't thought yet. Like it's trying to prepare me for something. The salt doesn't work anymore. Light doesn't stop it. And now, it wants to speak through me. It wants others to hear. So here's what I've decided. I'm going to post this. This story. This truth. This warning. If you're reading it, don't just feel bad for me. Ask yourself, what would the voice under your bed say? And more importantly, how long has it been waiting to speak?